I do want to get to the ground and go right to Cal Perry. Cal, from what we heard from the grand jury, from that news conference we just heard from Attorney General Cameron, what is that going to do for the community of Louisville? What reaction are you expecting to get? And again, we're watching a march right now on the left-hand side of our screen.
So there's a small group of people, and that's what you're seeing on the left-hand side of your screen, making their way around the city. I will tell you here in Jefferson Square Park, which has been renamed Breonna Taylor Park, there was a sense of exhaustion. There was a sense that people couldn't believe it happened, and at the same time, they weren't surprised. Now, Detective Hankinson has taken those charges of wanton endangerment, but those other two officers not charged. And let's just, for a second, and I know you're going to get into the legalese, the big picture from here in Louisville, the police did not have working body cameras. It's 2020. It's so hard to explain to people how that is possible, that you could have a raid on an apartment, on a no-knock raid where the police go in without uniforms, without announcing themselves, without working body cameras. You have an incident report that came out months later that said Breonna Taylor didn't actually sustain any injuries. It smells like a cover-up, and now you have an attorney general and you have a grand jury that is returning charges on one detective, not for the shooting of Breonna Taylor, but for shots that went into an adjacent apartment. So when folks here on the ground, and for 194 days, folks here have been calling for justice on Breonna Taylor, they've been calling for some kind of reform within the police force, within the way that Louisville is policed. You have basically what people here view as a not guilty verdict on all three of the officers because, again, Detective Hankinson was not charged in the shooting of Breonna Taylor. He was charged in the shooting of his rounds that went into the adjacent apartment. We will have to see, of course, how it plays out. How it has played out in the past is that once darkness falls, Katie, that's when people seem to come to the streets. That's when they seem to get organized. And that's when, in the past, we've seen activity. There is a large presence of National Guardsmen. We saw them pulling in about an hour ago. As you can see, these streets would normally be full of traffic. There is nobody out. That may be a sign of things to come, Katie.
Cal, I know you're talking about police reform. No, the Attorney General right there is disputing that it was a no-knock raid. He's saying that they did announce himself, and he says that there is a corroborating witness. That is according to the Attorney General. Cal, when it comes to police reforms, there were a number of those introduced by the mayor, the Louisville mayor, just recently when it was announced that Breonna Taylor's family would win an award of $12 million for her death. Is that going to do anything to mitigate the anger that you are expecting to see on the streets tonight? Is that enough for people to look and say, at least they're going to do something on the city level if they're not going to do something with the Attorney General?
I don't think it'll mitigate the anger tonight because I think people tonight are going to react to what they heard from the grand jury. Those reforms are important reforms. And as you said, they came when that settlement came with the family, that $12 million. Obviously a lot of money, but those reforms, very important. For example, there now needs to be a supervisor who signs off on the warrant. Body cameras have to be activated at all times before folks go on these raids. Key things. But as you said, when we heard there from the Attorney General that one witness did have the police knocking at the door, let's include in the family's lawsuit, they interviewed witnesses and they couldn't find anybody to corroborate that information. So again, it just goes to show you that you have two different versions of events. You have what people here believe happened that night, and then you have what the police are saying happened. And again, I'll just make this point again because we've seen it time and time again here in Louisville. No body cameras, no police body cameras. Months after Breonna Taylor was killed, you will remember there were clashes in this city between Black Lives Matter protesters and the police and the National Guard. And there was an incident in the western part of the city where David McAtee, a local member of the community, was shot and killed by a National Guardsman and a member of the local police, and they didn't have on body cameras. So it just kind of goes to show you that when you try to tell people here that there was a thorough investigation, that the police looked into it, it's a very hard sell, Katie.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.